Hello everyone, and welcome back to another edition of the Misfits Racing League. My name is Stryfium, and joining me for Tier 2 racing here around Zandvoort, it is, well, the Tier 3 podium sitter, Unicorn. How you doing?
Oh, I'm still buzzing after last night's drift, and I can't wait to see more Netherlands action. Second day in the commentary booth in a row. I'll make it free tomorrow, but yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how Tier 2 tackles this one. And I know the predictions already on in chat, but I would love to see some rain drift. I know you would too.
I really want to see rain. So there is a prediction in the chat. We still have about 2.5 minutes remaining on that. Will there be rain tonight in Tier 2? We had Tier 3 yesterday, no rain. We had the Americas division last night, no rain. That was unfortunately not streamed. However, I am happy to say that in just 2 hours time on our YouTube channel, the Americas race will be premiered live in its entirety, and all the drivers and the commentators, everyone's going to be in the chat. It's going to be a lot of fun to check that out. So exclamation YouTube in the chat. But without further ado, let's jump into the action at hand. Of course, Zandvoort, the Netherlands, the Dutch Grand Prix. It's round 5 for Tier 2, and it is 14 turns, and it is 14 very, very fast turns here. And I imagine, Unicorn, you having a little bit of experience yesterday, can tell us all about that through qualifying. But yes, round 5. Next week we go to Spain. Following that, Monaco, Azerbaijan, then Canada, France, Austria, Britain, Hungary, Belgium, of course, Spa-Francorchamps, as well as Italy, the Temple of Speed in Monza, Singapore, Russia, Japan, USA, Mexico, Brazil, and Abu Dhabi for the finale. Of course, big shout out to our partners, Next Level Racing. Fantastic provider for the sim racing community. They have an amazing lineup of sim racing products over on their site. Tons of great rigs. I just bought an F-GT myself, so I'm very, very happy to say that. We look at now the standings, the meat of what's going on here. Ferrari is currently leading things with Hurricane in that top slot. Crampy, the Alfa Romeo in second. Neon, the McLaren in third. Ferrari, Alfa Romeo, and McLaren in the same order are at the head of the Constructors' Championship. Kai Bacchini not too far behind there on the driver's side in fourth. Jake in fifth will round out the top 5 here. But there is a lot of fighting going on in this grid. And with that, Unicorn, I'd say we're just about ready to go racing here around the Netherlands.
Yeah, I'd say we're pretty much ready. Everyone already in the lobby. The countdown has started already, and yeah, everyone's in nice and quickly, and that's what you love to see. Very well organized today. Gotta give big props to the Tier 2 grid for that. But yeah, we are indeed ready, and well, we're gonna get our first glimpse of what the weather's gonna be. I know we haven't really seen any rain at all this season. We've seen a couple of times at qualifying around China, but in the early races we didn't see it at all. And the Netherlands is the first track where there is a high likelihood, I think is the way to put it, of that rain. And I think you've put the fear into everyone who was in the VC before, saying there's going to be rain. I think that was already probably playing on their minds. So I think even if there isn't rain, the threat of it right now is going to be weighing down on those drivers' shoulders.
Well, we're about to get the outcome of that prediction right now once we get the weather report from these racers. But we are going to have 20 drivers lining up on the grid today. Of course, before we jump into things, massive shout out to everybody in the chat, everybody viewing along. We greatly appreciate you being here with us as we jump into this 18-minute qualifying session. It'll be a 50% distance race, of course, full damage, strict corner cutting, and the usual rules that we find here in all the racing action on MRL. Now, this is what it's come down to. We have Azir, Scars, Kai Bacchini, Jake, Swifty, Rackety, as well as Jones, Crampy, Cotters, and XTXP on this grid. Liam is here with us, as well as Henry, John, Aliens. Josh Marin is joining us. In the Racing Point, we have Weltring, Hurricane, Mammal, Neon, and Darian Alfie. Darian Alfie, the Ferrari driver, will be serving a qualification ban today. As you see there, he has now retired the car. He will sit patiently awaiting the race start from the rear of this grid.
Yeah, we've already got a lot of drivers streaming out onto that track. Leading the charge, I do believe, is Neon in the McLaren. Currently sitting third in the standings. 1 win to his name already this season. And he'll be looking to make it 2.
Waiting on a weather report here from the drivers to get a full picture of what is going on through this race. Freeware coming through into the chat telling us it's going to be a dry campaign. Thank you, Mr. Freeware. If you're able to get that prediction sorted, that would be appreciated. And Swifty has unfortunately had a disqualification for parking in a dangerous location. And I have to say, I'm not entirely sure why. I thought I had seen him leave the session due to a disconnect, which normally in a qualifying would actually reset the car to the pit lane. Swifty now, he's going to be returning, and he's going to be in a very unique position here because that car isn't going to be drivable until the race.
Yeah, I felt the same thing happened to Rackety last week. He was having a problem with disconnecting, and he rejoined to find his car had been disqualified. So, bit of a weird one there for sure, but it is currently the home driver, Neon, making his way just out of Sector 1 in the McLaren. But super unfortunate for Swifty there to find his car already out of this session. Neon now coming out of turn 11 down towards this infamous chicane down into 12 and 13, and we saw a few moves through there. There is Swifty's car. Hopefully it didn't impede Neon's lap at all there. It didn't look like it just on the outside enough, as the McLaren goes very wide and almost spins the car coming out of 14.
Right into the pit lane. Right into the pit lane.
Around.
Cotters, meanwhile, will be the first driver to set a time here. It's going to be a 109.387. 367, excuse me, as it's Marin who comes through a 109 flat. He will be the second driver to set a time.
Azir, a 109.4 on the mediums. XTXP, a 109.8. And there's Scars, a 108.5 on the softs. All the time starting to flow in now. Jones as well, a 109.2. Crampy joins his teammate up at the top, a 108.8.
Scars, a driver last week we saw, unfortunately plagued by internet connection issues, so we did not get to see him out and about. But right now the Alfa Romeos are coming through here and they're making a statement. It was Adam on pole position here yesterday. Quite a little bit of drama through the Tier 3 race yesterday. It was a very intense exchange throughout. I will say this, of course, Rutanius, the home driver for Racing Point, the Dutchman who was on a winning streak, was caught up in that. And I have to say, Unicorn, you might have just been a benefactor in all of that chaos, but what a race it was. Now, of course, we have another home driver here in Neon who's going to be looking to do some work, and he's just headed out of the pit lane. 12 drivers setting times here so far, 3 of them on the mediums so far. Azir, XTXP, and Rackety all on the mediums. As a driver has just crossed the line here, it's a McLaren as Henners goes 5th quickest to 108.979.
Yeah, Jake right now, he's looking to cross the line and set his first flying lap of the session, but I think that, I'm not quite sure what's happened to him on that lap. He's used a lot of ERS, so I'm pretty sure it was a flyby, a 117.2, some sort of error somewhere along that lap for the Red Bull driver. Hurricane, he's just started a fly in the Ferrari, but Neon as well, he'll be looking to restart. He's come across the head that Swifty's decent car did in fact get in the way of that first attempt, so very unfortunate for him. Like you said, his home Grand Prix, so he'll be looking to do the Dutch fans proud.
Currently riding along with the Ferrari driver of Hurricane. We saw him last week collect a win. We'll see if he's able to continue on that success. He's currently the leading driver in this championship. Darian Alfie, the other Ferrari driver, will be starting this race in 19th position.
Okay, now down into turns 12 and 13, looking pretty comfortable. And if we didn't have a weather forecast ready, I'd say we were expecting some rain. Those clouds not exactly looking happy as Hurricane comes down the final very famous banked curve. And across the line, it's a 108.4 strip, and well, there we go, straight to the top on the leaderboard by 2/10, and that's already smashed yesterday's pole time.
Very nice lap coming out of the Ferraris there. We won't get an indication of where Darian Alfie lands in comparison due to that qualification ban, but one thing we will be able to take a look at right now is the fact that Neon will finally be getting a flyer in. We saw him now come through into the banking. He invalidated through here last time around. He's going to hold it nice and tight to that inside, and he cancels out what Hurricanes just put forth, and it's a McLaren in it to lead things here in quali so far. McLaren, Ferrari front row for the time being. The Alphas on the second row.
Yeah, well, if there was an orange army, a Dutch driver in an orange car, going to be the perfect fuel for it, and that provisional pole time, very, very nice. 5/10 clear from 4th all the way down. That is very, very impressive from Neon there.
One thing to talk about
right now
is Kai. Yeah, he just came across a 109.423 12th position. We take a look at the tires that are fitted right now. Everybody's fitted to softs. 3 times have been set on mediums. That means Azir in the Williams, he's looking for an improvement on a new set of tires, and we want to see what he's able to do about it. The Williams team has been very strong. They have a very, very good support structure there. Of course, we have the combined constructors element in this season, and it has really, really introduced a next level dynamic in these races, Unicorn. Oh!
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Azir has been cursed by that, without a doubt. And he's going to try and get things turned back around. Here comes the racing point through. I do believe that is Jones.
Well, I'm glad I didn't say anything, because that commentator's curse is going to go straight on your shoulders, Striff. But I was about to say, Azir last week really impressed me around China. Really sort of popped up on my radar as one to watch with some really incredible moves around Shanghai last week. Obviously there, a fairly easy spot to make a mistake, but it will knock his confidence going into the race. But he's still got time to get a lap in on another set of softs. He's actually got another 2 sets to run on, given that first lap was on the medium. So he's got plenty of time to recover from that, but it won't do him any favors.
Liam in the AlphaTauri now, a veteran of the Tier 2 division through MRL's history, a champion of the Tier 2 division. He has had a very shaky start to this campaign of Season 4, but I'll say this, he's flying and he's about to come out of Sector 3 into the banking.
Oh my goodness! I do not know what's just happened between Jake and Crampy, but Crampy's car has just gone absolutely flying into the wall down at Turn 4. And Jake has a substantial amount of wing damage on that Red Bull.
Well, Liam, as we say it, he's jumped into 11th position. We'll take a look at Jake's front wing. That is not in good shape at all. At all. XTXP, he's had a big issue. He's spinning around. Red Bull, there goes. Oh, I have to say, Scars narrowly missed that Red Bull here. But he is flying in that Alfa Romeo, albeit his teammate out of this session. He now has some work to do. Another car spun around there, and it looks like Henrys has had an issue as well. Everybody's having issues. What has gone on here halfway through quali?
Yeah, this grid really looks like there's a couple of drivers on it that are struggling just that little bit extra here around Zandvoort compared to what they usually would be. It just seems to be sort of getting under their skin, and well, we've seen a few more slips and slides than we'd necessarily like so far in our qualifying session.
Scars, sorry to interrupt you there. He does jump Hurricane, so he has promoted himself a position here, and given the state of affairs on track, I imagine with the amount of traffic, it's going to be quite difficult for a lot of these drivers to find major improvements to undo what he's just done here. Aliens, seemingly on a flyer. He's got some drivers pulled off to the inside, but he's just going to call it through into the pit lane now.
Yeah, I'm watching on board with Codders right now, seeing what he can produce for the Haas squad. Hennes as well in 8th at the moment in the McLaren. He is flying too. Kai Bicini as well, apparently. Those three, the only 3 I think out on track right now on a flyer. I think Jean's just started one in the other Haas as Codders swings it down into the tight right-hander down at turn 13, but he's up on his previous best, and well, if he jumps Crampy is not going to have any response after that humongous crash into turn 4. So Codders needs to get in front of Crampy here. Maybe a little bit of a slipstream off of the other Alfa Romeo, and there it is, P4 jumped out of Crampy, and the one reserve on tonight's grid as well, Merrin in that racing point.
Well, we saw a reserve win this race yesterday for Haas. It was Grenade Garan, of course, running that Pirates banner. Today, we've got John back in the cockpit of an MRL seat, and that is what you like to see. Of course, John, one of the longest standing MRL drivers we've got, and he was not able to partake at first, and there's a very unfortunate runoff there under the curbing, and that will see him dive into the pit lane here, and he will look to go again. But P8 currently standing for him. Kai, 9th position for him. It looks like he's on an in-lap presently. Weltring, nothing doing for him at the moment. Henners will not be improving on his current run, so there's nobody currently running a fast time with the exception of the current pole sitter, Mr. Neon, who has just come through Sector 2 purple. The big question is, will it be enough to push that gap further away from Scars, because it is only 0.02 of a second separating them.
Yeah, here he goes down towards the line. Neon, a 108 flat. Very, very nice stuff from the McLaren. As here in the Williams now, he's just come out of Sector 1, and that's a huge improvement. Those medium tyres really weren't slowing him down. And now through Sector 2, about to come onto this back DRS straight. One of 2 DRS zones here, and well, his teammate just ahead. No slipstream coming out of it, but look at that, 0.8 for the Williams right now. Through 14, in coming towards, 13. Now coming through 14, and then 15, this infamous banked curb. What can he achieve? Again, DRS wide open for the Williams. From 14th to 4th, the 108.466, just behind Hurricane. And he won't be disappointed with lap time whatsoever. A couple of other drivers now starting their next flying lap times. His teammate Aliens is on a fly. Jones as well in the racing point. He's a couple of tenths up as he comes out of the final corner. What can he do? He finds P5. That puts him ahead of his stand-in teammate at the moment. And a 108.5. Very, very nice time from him. We are in that final 5 minutes. We are at the track's most optimum now. And we'll see the times start to crumble down. Liam. Not quite sure what he's doing. 16 seconds slower than his previous best. Maybe going for a flyer now. Aborted the last one. But not too many people flying right now. XTXP in the Renault. He's going to cross. And there's a half a second improvement from a 109.3. Just 6,000 off of Liam. Very, very nice stuff from him in the Renault. The other Renault right now, Rackety, he's flying through the final sector, but it will be Aliens diving into the pit lane. He won't be finishing out that lap. Rackety crosses the line into P12, a 109 flats. Right now, Jake, I think, only driver on a flyer.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Jake on board with the Red Bull. Sorry for my delayed response on the cameras. I had to step away for a moment to collect a very, very large package at the door. If you know, you know. Anyway, this Red Bull flying through Sector 2 now.
Yeah, Jake, currently on 117.2. Still not quite sure what happened on that lap time. It might be the lap where Crampy crashed and he got that wing damage, but 6.4 seconds up. It's looking much, much more successful this time around for the Red Bull as he approaches the last couple of corners. He turned 15. DRS enabled again. And across the line, it's P5 for Jake on 108.5. And that right now seems to be a very hotly contested position. Everyone's sort of getting that 105 in. I think Codders was there for a bit as well on that 107. 108.7, I should say. But
Rackety not able to improve. He's just come through into the pit lane. Weltring, the AlphaTauri now, he's looking quite rapid coming out of the banking here. This might be a good one. What's it going to be at the line? Ooh, it's a major improvement by 0.3, but it is not good enough to get him ahead of Kai.
Hurricane finds P2. a 300th improvement, but 300ths were just enough to put him out of Scars. Scars on an outlap. Kai with a huge spin through Sector 2, just coming out of Turn 9. He's straight into the gravel trap. No damage on that Mercedes, but that is very, very unfortunate for the Mercedes driver there.
Not entirely sure what happened to Kai there. Yeah, Mammal, his teammates coming down the hill.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. I imagine maybe just a bit on the curb, unsettled the car and just slid for Kai, but managed to catch it and not damage the Mercedes. So if he's got the tyres and the fuel, he could go around again if he wants to try and sneak into that top 10. But 12 maybe could start on the mediums if he wanted to.
One thing, this grid right now, I'm looking at the separation. 1 second, all the way down to 13th position. Well, 15th position. Darian Alfie, Swifty, not able to set times here. We saw a very, very tight grid in this race yesterday. Mammal pulling off outside of turn 1 here.
Fast laps coming in for some of the drivers in the top 5. Neon, Scars, Azir, Jones as well, all on flyers. As Kai retires in the pit lane, he is done with qualifying for now. Pretty much everyone who's on a flyer right now will be those who will be finishing it out.
Cotters, Weltering, Rackety, they are done. Marin is done. Neon, Hurricane, Scars, John, Henry, Azir, they're all showing up as moving through this circuit on flyers. Right now we're looking at Scars. I do not believe Hurricane will be improving. He's slow up through out of the banking and he'll be entering into the pit lane. So Scars flying now. I think there's an AlphaTauri ahead of him. Liam, he'll cross with a small improvement. Scars now behind him. He'll jump into second position here and take the checkered flag. 3/10 nearly the improvement. Jones, he is done in this session. A 108.303 from him. Very, very good time out of him. And there's Hurricane in the pit lane. John on the move. Neon crosses. But it will not be an improvement out of him. A 108.036 will be the time he finishes this qualifying session with John. Will not be getting anything else done. XTXP, the last driver to cross the line here. The Renault to the line. What's the time? 12th position. Very good for him strategy-wise, I would say. And he'll be getting a thanks from Renault, getting quite close to the top 10 with free tire choice here. What a qualifying this has been.
Yeah, fair few mistakes here, Striff. Not something we're too accustomed to seeing. And well, when you're pushing on this track, there are, a lot of elevation changes. There's a few curves that can unsettle the car. But yeah, very, very dramatic qualifying session. Dry, I'm sure that would have been a sigh of relief for the drivers. But we'll see how this grid shapes up over the course of 36 laps here around Zandvoort.
Well, there you have it. This is the final classification heading into the 50% distance endeavor. We have Neon on pole position, the Dutchman in a very good position, poised to take a win around his home race. We have Scars lining up next to him in the Alfa Romeo by less than 1/10 of a second. Jones, the Dane, will line up third here in the Racing Point. And of course, we'll go down through the rest of this grid with you on the formation lap. Swifty, with an unfortunate technical issue resulting in DSQ, and Darian Alfie serving his qualification ban for the Ferrari squad. But two very quick drivers wrapped at the rear of this grid unicorn. It is going to be a dry campaign. Of course, let us know your predictions. Who's winning this race? Who's getting on that podium? And my personal favorite, as always, how many safety cars do you think we're going to see in this one?
Well, like you just said, Swifty, Darian Alfie down at the back of this grid. It's a tricky circuit to overtake in. We saw that yesterday. We've seen it before. And, well, just trying to get past, even if you've got the pace around here, just sometimes is impossible based just purely on how the track is laid out. Crampy as well, despite DNFing, actually managed to slot himself into P11, so he'll have free tyre choice. So I'm sure he won't be too disheartened by that. He's got that free tyre choice, and I'm not sure if he's had some sort of connection issue here. So we'll see if we can get him back in as quickly as possible, and that doesn't cause any issues for everyone else. But yeah, shaping up to be a very, very interesting race. And well, it may not be the rain some of us were hoping for, but that doesn't mean it's not going to be a dramatic affair.
Well, prediction in the chat is whether or not the pole sitter will win the race, if I'm not mistaken. So get your predictions in. That's always a lot of fun to have in the chat. Neon Scars Jones, Hurricane John, the top 5 here. Crampy is now back into the session. Hopefully that does not create too many issues for us at the start of this race. It's always a hit or miss situation when that happens. We have we have Henry, Azir, Marin, Cotters, Crampy, as well as XTXP, Aliens, Jake, Kai Bacchini, Weltrink, Rackety, Liam, Mammal, Darian Alfie, and Swifty all on this grid. And now we've had a coming together of Crampy and XTXP. And they will both be reset to the formation and the grid. So now, tire strategies. Only one driver outside of that top 10. Starting on softs, it's the Red Bull of Jake.
Yeah, I'm just having a look now. I'm trying to work out. Someone must have been hit with a grid penalty. I think it was Aliens.
Well,
I think Aliens has dropped because XTXP qualified 12th and Crampy was 11th, but Crampy's been bumped up into that top 10 and XTXP's 11th. So I'm not quite sure what happened to Aliens in qualifying, but I'm pretty sure he's been dropped down there by 5 places. So I think that's a little bit of a change, but it has given him the opportunity to start on the hard compound tires.
Jake, the chat is coming across to tell us that it was Jake having to serve a grid penalty. But of course, before we go racing here, I just want to give a quick shout out to our partners, Next Level Racing. Fantastic products on their website. You can check them out in the chat. They're really looking at helping out sim racing communities and growing sim racing as a whole. So you love to see it. Of course, we're going to have the America's Race premiering on YouTube right after this race. It's going to be a double header today, like we used to have on Thursdays, Tier 2 followed by Tier 1. It's going to be a lot of fun. But all the drivers now, Unicorn approaching the grid. And as you finished on the podium here yesterday, I have to say, I think you need to do the honors for this one.
Well, I won't say no to that one. Here we go then. The fight, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. The engines are revving here, and away we go for the Dutch Grand Prix. Neon's had an absolutely excellent start, but so has Henner's behind him, off of the line. The McLaren already looking at the inside of the Ferrari. The racing point now, I'm pretty sure it's Jones. The time to having a little bit of a confusion there, getting a little bit few whiff, but Henner's already up into P3. Hurricane behind him. And then the 2 racing points are to follow, but an excellent start for him. XTXP and Kai Bacchini, they're side by side. And Kai just about getting past us there. Renault gets a little bit squirrely coming out of turn 4, keeping it pointing in the right direction though. And he will be down into what I believe is about 13th place. Well, the timing tower starting to adjust itself, and Henner's up 3.
That timing tower doesn't even want to give you a chance. But yeah, this has been a very, very unique start. A very good start, I have to say, in comparison to what we saw yesterday. Some wheel-to-wheel action right now. Swifty, Liam, some things going on in the back of this field right now as Swifty is already being hunted down by the... Well, he's being squeezed between 2 AlphaTauris at the minute. Further up things now. Hurricane on the rear of Henner's. This has been a very good race start, Unicorn, I have to say, and I think a lot of the folks watching along are going to be happy to see this, as Scars is dropping on the timing tower, but not physically.
Yeah, it's Zier and Marin that's just exchanged a nice move from the Williams through turn 1. Just burnt through ERS, but managed to get it up the inside, and now a little wide through turn 4, but it's not going to open the door to Marin, who's already dropping back a little bit, and is under threat from what I believe is Jean, as they come together.
Oh! That's a big crash there for John. There's been a big contact. There's 3 cars out here, Unicorn. This has been a major incident. This has been an absolutely massive incident here, and the safety car has most certainly been deployed. Cotters, Crampy, John, there are 3 drivers retired out of this one, and I am not entirely sure who's at fault for that, but both Haas racers have retired, and Crampy's been caught up in that, and the safety car has been deployed. Wow.
I actually think that was 2 incidents that just happened at the same time in the same place. So But yeah, very, very big cars. Those two Hasses, they will not be happy over in their garage. I imagine Gunther Steiner has just absolutely slammed his fist down on the table. But yeah, not sure what's going on with Jones and Hurricane as well. Timing Tower saying they've exchanged, but not the case. Henner's just trying to bait someone into the pit lane. Not going to work though for the McLaren driver. But are we going to see anyone take advantage of this? We saw Squid yesterday take hards, or he would have taken hards.
Not a single one of these drivers has pit. Not a single one of these drivers has been. Well, why wouldn't you? Does anybody have damage on this grid? It does. I'm looking at Darian Alfie. He's at the rear of this. He has no damage. I'm looking at Rackety now. We're looking at the Williams of Aliens, Azir. Nobody's got damage. And I have to say, and we're going to bring the telemetry on now, this race start was so clean. We got through into lap 2. And then things really hit the fan. And I don't know what to say. Of course, stewards will review post-race with the perspectives of the drivers. But we are already on lap 3 with 3 drivers retired in this one.
Yeah, really, really dramatic race start. I think a couple of people coming across in chat saying desync, so you know, it might not have even been anyone's fault, and that's very possible. A very tricky portion of the circuit coming out of that turn 4. That again, that curve is also slightly banked, and it can really just be tricky to get out of there. The two cars going side by side, and then one just snapping out. Very unfortunate. But I'm looking at the positions gained, and for most people, it's a clear-cut improvement with those 3 cars out, especially when most of them started so high up on this grid. But Neon and Scars, the front 2, they've held position lap 1. Hennes is up 3, still after that incredible launch of the line. Hurricane, he's held position in 4th. Then Jones is down 2. The only person still in this race who's lost a position, although Liam now, he is going to come into the pits, and he's going to go into some mediums drift.
That's a good call, I think. That's a really interesting call there, but I think it's a good call. He's going to have an opportunity to catch up with the safety car. Good rubber. Liam, a good driver that we've seen through the history of MRL. He might want to try and look to move through this grid now. The top 7 drivers all on these softs here. Aliens is in the middle of it on these hards. He's got Jake behind him in that charging Bolt. Then it's a field of harder compounds, starting with mediums through into Weltering. Then you have Swifty, and then it's back to hards with Mammal and Darien. Look at the difference in tire strategy here. And we have 36 laps in this race. 36 laps in this race.
Yeah, I do like the fact that Liam's pit there. I think, like you said, I think that's a smart move. Medium to soft. We saw back row, soft to medium yesterday. Now, 4 laps, completely erased from, well, 3 laps, as the safety car will be coming in this lap. Erased off of Liam, and he will be able to medium soft that quite comfortably, whereas everyone else in this medium might have to do medium hard, so they could push for the medium soft, but for Liam, it's going to be a little bit more comfortable. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him be a little bit of a dark horse and pick up a couple of points here this evening. But we're all just eyes on the home driver Neon as to whether he's going to get this race start, or when he's going to get this race restarted.
Well, he's throttling it down now out of the banking here. Now he's off the throttle, waiting for that car to come in, and I think he might have been locked. He might have misjudged the entry here, and this is going to be very dangerous coming through to restart this race. Henners and Hurricane are already side to side. Coming into turn 1, there's a little bit of contact. There's a tap coming from the racing point. Hurricane's round. He's got to let everybody go by now. He's going to get that car back going. Oh my, what a tap coming out of there, and I don't know who hit him. Neon, Scars coming through here. In lead of this race. I'm going to get a full lineup on positions here in a second. Is the timing tower bugged, or are we looking at the realistic timing? Because this has already been a massive shuffle, Unicorn.
Well, I'm pretty sure that timing tower is right as Weltering goes super wide. I think he has picked up damage. He's missing a right end plate from that early restart shenanigans. Jones there really struggling. He did super well. Like you said, I'm not quite sure what happened into turn 1. Hennes was on the outside, but then Jones did super well to avoid the Ferrari, but then the McLaren lost it as well and just came straight in, sliding. Nothing anyone could do. And there's just a lot of exchanging going on. Weltering really dropping down this grid. Hards with a damaged front wing. He's now side by side with his teammate. He won't make that move too difficult for Liam.
Aliens has damage as well in the Williams. He's about to drop to his teammate in Azir here. I think he's going to pit. A little bit of team tactics coming through here. Yeah, Aliens is on the way in. Up ahead of them, the two teammates of Rackety and XTXP are going wheel to wheel right now. Rackety around the outside is going to take lead here for the two Renaults. Swifty behind them. Rackety and XTXP do not want to fight because it will give Swifty an opportunity. Now, let's jump onto the front of things. Henners is hunting down Kai Bacchini. It is the McLaren on the rear of the Mercedes. Kai, within a second, dancing around a second of Josh Marin ahead. Of course, the three drivers ahead all on the softs. Kai in a pretty good position on these mediums right now. Marin up ahead. He's gone deep and wide. This is really going to bring Kai and Henners into the equation, and behind them, the train is starting to form with Jake as well.
Yeah, I want to go back to Swifty. What a race start he's had. He's up 11 places, the biggest positional gain on this grid right now. He's got a bit of a problem of Azir barking up his gearbox on some nice looking fresh softs, but Swifty himself, he's got some nice pace on these mediums compared to the Renaults on the same tyre. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Swifty here have a nice finish as Neon, a 111.9. He and Scars really starting to break away from the rest of this grid as Swifty comes out of the final corner. No DRS yet in this race, despite the fact that it is lap 70. That's a little look up the inside of XTXP. XTXP with a little lockup. Can Swifty find a way through a little bit of snap from the Red Bull?
Interrupt here, Unicorn. There's so much happening here. It was Hurricane wheel to wheel with Liam not getting the move done. We'll jump back on with Swifty as things are so intense, but Unicorn still looking at Liam. And I'm trying to find where to put this camera. Hurricane's going for it. He has such traction on these softs right now. He's going to clear this AlphaTauri before we get down the hill. There's a little bit of a wheel tap there. Both cars getting slightly unsettled, but Hurricane's through into 13th position. We jump back now with Swifty. He's tight to the rear of the Renault in XTXP. He's got Azir following him behind. Henners still with Kai. Kai still with Josh. And this is a great race so far here now that we've got some green flag running.
Yeah, there's a lot of pockets of drivers. You've got the battle there for third, Marin, Kai, Henners, and Jake locked in that one. Then seventh, you've got Rackety, XTXP, Swifty, and Azir on the back of this. And then the four cars behind the Mammal, Hurricane, Darian, Alfie, and Liam. A lot of battles. And then even the battle for 15th as well, as Azir here using those soft tyres and just absolutely breezing past Swifty, using a lot of that ERS as well as the DRS. The first lap that it will be fully able to be utilised for these drivers. Hurricane as well, he just got past Mammal for 11th place, and he'll be looking to try and find his way back into the points as well after that incident lap 1. Oh, sorry, on the safety car restart it was for the Ferrari. But there's just so many tight battles going on, Striff, and I don't see it ending anytime soon for these drivers.
No, this is a grid absolutely loaded with intensity, and this race could, I think, realistically change at any moment. There goes Azir with a slight slide. He catches it. Henners now. He's really looking at Kai. He's got that DRS, but Kai has it on Josh ahead. Kai right now. He's on these medium compound tires. He's holding quite nicely with Josh Marin ahead in that racing point. Meanwhile, Josh Marin dropping time to Scars and Neon in front. Scars is not that far away from Neon right now. And here goes Henners. Kai breaking to the inside. The McLaren, he's going to take that outside line. Is he going to hold this move through into turn 1? He's clear ahead of the Mercedes. And who else is in on this equation? It was looking like Jake wanted to make something happen there as well. Oh, a slight tap as we come through sector 1 now. Jake really hunting down this Mercedes. And I think Kai is going to have to defend against this instead of trying to catch up with where Henners went through. Further back, Azir on XTXP. We're coming down the hill. This is going to be very touch and go. He drops off patiently.
Yeah, I've been watching Azir right now for the better part of a lap. And XTXP, I think, is starting to feel the pressure that Williams. He's already taken Swifty in the last couple of laps. Obviously, those soft tyres, they'll be starting to reach the point where they feel a bit bad. But you can see that XTXP is struggling right now. And that's going to let not only Azir by, but Swifty is going to have a look as well, and maybe even Hurricane.
Oh, there's an end plate
into turn 12.
I think
not gonna find it, but he
XTXP just
tried
took I think XTXP just took off an end plate in that exchange coming into the hairpin because, well, I saw it dancing on the gravel, and I think Hurricane sniffed it as well. Here comes the Ferrari now, absolutely charging on the rear of XTXP. XTXP has called it into the pit lane and further up the grid. Kai and Jake looked like they were doing a little bit of dancing. Jake, however, not able to get anything ahead of Kai yet.
Yeah, Zia takes the other Renault as well. He's got past Rackety, and it looks like the Renault will not be hanging around and will be wanting that position back as quickly as possible. Obviously, the softs, like I said, they won't be feeling too good at this stage. They'll be feeling even worse in a couple of laps' time, and that's when the Williams will be starting to think about pitting. Obviously, they've been preserved a tiny bit under safety car. And Jake now looking up the inside of Kai, and what a move that is! But he's tapped Kai. There's been contact, and Kai straight into the barrier, miraculously not damaging that front right suspension. But Kai is going to drop like a stone, and there is huge wing damage on that Mercedes.
Very unfortunate there. I didn't catch it on my end. Unfortunately, I was looking at the other battling going on circuit, and now we've got Henners just, well, sitting free to hunt down Josh Marin without Kai and Jake on his rear.
Well, Kai, he had a pretty good redemption drive last week. He's got the same task put in front of him again. Neon into the pit lane. The home driver onto fresh hards from lead of this race. And he's picked up a pit lane. He's picked up a penalty. Was that in the pit lane? It was. It's a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. If he's not going to pit again, that is going to get added to his time at the end of this race. And that could really shake up the end result. Jiffers, Henners, his teammate, really hounding the gearbox of Merrin for P2.
Well, I'll say one thing right now. Neon really needs a safety car to get rid of that 5-second time penalty. But something else is the fact that traffic, we saw what it did to Adam and Rutanius yesterday. Traffic can always present very difficult situations for fast runners because there's a big tire differential. Braking points have changed. Things aren't as fresh and as crisp as you'd like them through turns. And here we have Hurricane hunting down Swifty as Henners is still sitting well with Josh, but it's not the tightest gap. And Swifty's had a fantastic run out of the banking here. Will he have enough to get Rackety? Not yet, I don't think, into turn one. He's not utilizing much battery. Not a lot of drivers do throughout the, the lap-to-lap racing. It's more of a, you use that battery over the whole race because it's hard to recover. Liam. Ooh, Liam now fighting with Mammal. Wheel to wheel, a little bit of a wheel tap. Mammal. 9th position for him. He's got Liam right on him. Liam is not letting him go. Liam wants that 9th position. Wheel to wheel coming down the hill. How's this going to go? Oh, look at these two putting on an absolute clinic here, but it looks like Liam might get it done for now. Oh, move back from Mammal on the inside. Look at this racing, ladies and gentlemen.
My eyes still glued to the train behind Rackety. P4, the position that's at stake, and Swifty's still looking at the back of this, but they've got Hurricane behind. He is likely going to come into the pit lane in a 1 or 2 laps time, if not now. And then you've got Neon on the back of this train as well, on those fresh hards. With that 5-second penalty, are we going to see the Ferrari dart into the pit lane? Not this lap, and he might even get the run down into turn 1.
He's looking for that Red Bull right now before he goes into that pit lane. He wants to make sure he gets positions.
I don't think he's going to find it unless he can get somewhere through here. He has seemed to keep the pace. A little bit of a lunge around the outside. That's not going to work, and that's going to let Leon come right side by side with him. He backs out as well. Sector 1 is not really where you want to be going side by side through, as evidenced earlier in this race. But Leon is going to try around the outside.
Oh, that was really risky. And that is what happens when you go for things like this. Oh, man.
You ask any driver coming into the Netherlands, and everyone's been saying how tricky this circuit is to overtake. There's pretty much 1, if not 2 overtaking spots. You've got turn 1 and you've got turn 12, and even turn 12 at a push is risky. Around the outside, coming down into turn 8, that is not where you want to be sending it with half your car on the grass. And, well, Neon's just found that one out the hard way.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and just call that one a learning experience, and I hope everyone watching along can understand how quickly things can change. Now Hurricane, the driver that he was fighting with, has jumped into the pit lane for a nice fresh shot of rubber.
Well, perfect time to do it, and well, out in P12, he'll be right behind what was the race leader, and he's got out ahead of Jones as well. A nice bit of clean running, and he knows he's not going to get held up by Neon, because despite the fact that Neon is now down in 11th place, he's definitely got the pace, and Hurricane can really use that to his advantage. There's clear running straight ahead of him as well, so a nice pit stop for the Ferrari, well timed.
Well, one driver to talk about in all of this is Scars, because Scars now, Crampy, his teammate, is out of this race. He can pit whenever he wants. He's got a 9.9 second gap to the soft runner behind him. And this has been absolutely crazy. He's going to call it right now. So he's coming in. He's going to want to move through and try to get into a good window. But he could potentially be on for a win here. And the Alfa Romeos, I imagine, would love to see it.
Well, Jake's followed him in. Azir hasn't, though. And both the Alfa Romeo and the Red Bull have gone for the hards. I want to know whether the Williams is going to push for the mediums. It's getting to the point now where I really think he could. 14 laps done.
Current gap to leader, sorry to interrupt, from first down to 17th position is 30 seconds. This grid is still quite tight. Mistakes can cost you massively, and well, 5 drivers on this grid have yet to pit. Azir, Rackety, Swifty, Darian, Alfie, as well as Mammal, which is another, well, unique differential in this one, we'll call. Neon holds that fastest lap of 1:11.9, but he does have that 5 seconds, and unfortunately, he had that spin.
Yeah, Scars right now looking super, super strong. Marin right now. Liam as well, but Liam on that alternate strategy, he has pitted, but he will have to pit again. But it's still an interesting strategy, and it'll be interesting to see where he lands in all of this. But Marin, Henners, Jake on those fresh hards. Here comes Azir. Is he going to try and go for the mediums? He's not. He's just extended this off just 1 lap extra compared to everyone else.
Oh, Marin looking for a move on Mammal here around the outside of turn 1. Mammal's holding that inside. Marin's got a lot of traction here. There goes Mammal. Mammal's off. He's spun, and it looks like the wheels were locked between the two. Mammal does not appear to have any damage on that front wing, but he's going to have to sit and allow this field by, and we were just talking about how tight this field was in all reality, and there it is, Mammal now. He's going to have to see his teammate Cabicini come up behind him.
Yeah, not a good time to be a Mercedes fan. We're seeing how quickly things can just get turned around for entire teams, not just individuals. Swifty now, he's getting pretty close to the rear of Rackety for what is the lead of the race at the moment. It's not the net lead, but they'll still be pretty happy that they are battling for P1, especially Swifty, who started this race all the way down at the back. But it's Scars just behind them. He is in net lead of this race. There goes Rackety. He is going to blink. He's going to come into the pit lane. Although Swifty is going to push for here. Is he going to try and find the softs? I think it's highly unlikely, but not impossible for the Red Bull driver.
I have to say right now, if a safety car was deployed, Darian Alfie would be laughing. Liam would be too. 3 and 4 for the two of them. But Liam hunting down Darian just behind Scars, who's really, really closing that gap to Swifty. Such a tire differential there. Look to the mid of this grid. Neon, 9th position. Not all lost for him in the McLaren, but it is a big climb back. He has great pace around here. We'll see if this grid can pull itself together to give him a nice clean way through. But catching up's one thing, overtaking an entirely different story, as most would say.
Yeah, exactly. Especially around a chart like this. It's a bit like, who is this? Swifty's had a problem. He's pointing the complete wrong way.
Oh no.
And I think
there's been a bit of a collision here. Well, I don't know if Scars had time to react. That front left's majorly damaged. Scars here. He's got big debris on track. Is there going to be a safety car as a result of the collision? Nothing. Scars is being forced to pit in now. What tires does he go to? I imagine it can only be a set of mediums here. It will be a set of the yellow rim tires. And what a dynamic race. What a shakedown of positions we have had through this campaign already, Unicorn, and we're only on lap 18 out of 36.
Yeah, halfway through, and it's been a crazy race so far. I'm still confused as to what happened because Swifty's car, completely spotless. There is no damage on that Red Bull that I can see. He's still going for what I believe is going to be a medium soft from him. He'll be pitting in the next couple of laps, 2 or 3, I think, to try and drag those softs to the end, but no damage on that front wing. I don't know where Scars hit him because Swifty was pointing completely 180 around. Just looked like he was driving backwards. He wasn't, but very, very weird incident there between the Alfa Romeo and the Red Bull, but Swifty's still soldiering on, still P9 from last on the grid, and with the fact that he's got to do a pit stop, he's one of the last few drivers to do so. Darren Alfie as well, who also was at the back of this grid at the start. Both looking like they're trying to turn this race around. Swifty staying out there. He's definitely going to push for those soft.
Well, we look at all these drivers in the top 10 right now and the tires that they're on, and I have to say Azir is in a good position here. Henners, Jake, Marin, all these guys on the fresher hards. I mean, Azir on the rear of Jake here is looking very quick. And if this Williams is able to get through on the Red Bull, that would be crucial.
Yeah, he's had some good pace all evening, but he was on the sots earlier. Whether he can find his way past Jake here is going to be another matter. Both of these guys locked in a fight, not only on track right now, but in the standings as well. Jake P5, Azir P6, so this could directly just impact those two on the table. Neon as well behind them. He's got that 5-second penalty. He won't be happy how this race has started, but halfway through, he will be looking to get these guys and get himself as close to that podium as he possibly can at his own rate.
Yeah, 7th position for him. I mean, the McLarens are doing a lot of work today. Henners right now, as we say it, he's looking at Liam. Nothing doing
here goes
just
Azir
yet.
around the outside. Jake, the Williams, he's trying to find the move. Jake, excellent traction on the inside though. Manages to hold him off for P5 at the moment.
Well, a little bit more of that is good for Neon and the Ferrari behind him. This train's in it's a massive train now, all the way from Marin all the way down to Hurricane here for P4. Here goes Neon. He's looking at the rear of that Williams so tight. We're going to hang on with this for a moment. All these drivers looking feisty. We'll take a look at Henners in a second as well if he goes for it.
And this does look like he's going to try it up the inside. There it is, the McLaren just squeezing the other tire a little bit, but I don't think there was too much contact between the two, and it's a very clean overtake from him.
Well, that's a very iconic section of circuit given the crash that we saw between the Alfa Romeo and Racing Point yesterday.
Yeah, it's a tricky corner to get it right on, but like I was saying, there's really only 2 spots, and that is one of them to get a overtake done on, and Henners has done it in the right way.
He's going to look to the inside of Azir now. Azir is taking the line. A little bit of a bump from Neon there. He gets on the curbing. Azir says, no way, Jose, and Hurricane sniffing all of this right now. He wants to get into that 7th position.
Well, I know Neon's had a bad race, but he needs to just keep himself patient. It hasn't worked out for him once already this race, and I know Turn 1 is the best place to overtake on this track, but I don't think the gap was really there for the McLaren, and he needs to just be patient, learn that this race is a race of attrition. It's not about just overtaking as much as you possibly can like on other circuits. You're just going to pick and choose your moments as best as you can, because as soon as you're past, it then becomes you that the car behind is trying to get past. So just needs to make sure that he keeps himself in P7 for the time being, and if he finds the opportunity for P6, that's when he needs to take it.
Well, checking in with Scars right now, P14. He's looking at XTXP, a little bit of a snap, but he's going to have DRS and that battery, but he is really charging now. He is on a fresh set of medium compound tires. He is going to have a lot of pace in comparison to this grid as Liam now jumps into the pit lane. We'll see where he drops out. But we'll have to see what Scars is able to do. Neon, Hurricane. Neon holding on to 6th. Hurricane looking at the outside. Scars, XTXP. Well, what's happened here? There's been a major issue. What's happened with XTXP? We're looking on with him. And he's coming in for not just tire change, but a major wing change as well. The entirety of that front right has been, well, taken apart. Hurricane still hunting down the McLaren.
I'm not quite sure what happened to the Renault there, but as for the Ferrari down into turn 1, he looked it around Neon down around the outside, similar to what we saw Azir try a few laps ago. Again, unsuccessful for the attacking car. And that just goes to show, again, even on the corner that you really want to be overtaken around, it can be just impossible to get your car through. So all these drivers will just be thinking in this 5-car train that's been around for quite some time now. A good four or 5 laps these guys have been locked in combat. And we picked up a few drivers along the way. You can see the front 3 of this train all following Merrin to the right-hand side of that track. And Merrin right now, the reserve driver, still doing an excellent shift for the Pirates. Could it be a Pirates podium? 2 races in a row. And right now, as yet a little bit deep through turn 4. I don't think that's going to worry anyone else. And it might have actually worked for him. He might have just found a little bit of extra traction around the outside that could see him attack Jake here. We saw it being unsuccessful for Neon, the car behind, but he's not quite fast enough, and he's managed to hold off from attacking Jake, but he's very close coming through the opening corners of Sector 2, and this is how a move is constructed down into turn 12.
Neon is all in this as well. Hurricane behind him. Here goes Azir. He's looking to that inside. Do we see a lunge from the Williams? Nothing yet. The more failed opportunities and the mistakes made as well, the more the drivers behind get wise and try to make those things work. Thinking through in those doors left open or unattended.
I really think Jake's been saved there by the fact that he's got DRS and Merrin ahead, and I think Jake knows that. He has not been looking aggressive.
Neon really giving the Ferrari the squeeze. Hurricane's not having any of it, but he's had a loss of traction. Very intense racing through the first turn here.
Yeah, they've done well to keep each other, still going in this race, and this battle is basically going to decide the final podium finisher. Well, the final 2 actually, because Darian's still in P1 right now, has to pit. Everyone else here, though, in contention for not only the podium, but the race win as well. Henna's, though, a podium last week, if I'm not mistaken, and now it's like it could be the race win if everything goes his way in the rest of this race.
Darian Alfie started on those tires, so he's still got to come in. Henner's now 2.3 seconds the gap behind him. Darian, I imagine, is going to come in now. Yeah, there he goes. Softs for sure. Henry is leading this race. Wow.
What a job. There goes Hurricane, a huge lunge up the inside. And he got past, but I think that's going to open the door to Neon as the 2 go side by side. Neon's into the wall. Hurricane's around. Neither car is out. Neon, he's got monumental. Actually, it's only an end plate, I think. It's still going to hurt him. And Darian Alfie, well, sorry, Hurricane, the other Ferrari, he's actually miraculously damage-free, at least visibly. But the positional damage has already been done. He is out of the point.
Very, very interesting exchange there. Not entirely sure what happened. I had an aerial view that kind of disappeared on me, but it's Azir still hunting down Jake. Jake on the rear of Marin, and Henners is, well, he's in lead of this race on lap 25. Darian Alfie, who started this race at the rear of the grid, he came in for that fresh set of softs, and now he's within Liam's DRS already.
Liam, this race has just been shaping up around him. That early pit stop, he was the only one to take advantage.
This is a wheel-to-wheel exchange. Unicorn, Azir, and Jake through turn 1. Azir now. It's almost a carbon copy of what we just saw unfold between the McLaren and Ferrari, except this time there's still wheel-to-wheel coming out of it. Marin is running away ahead while these two still go side by side. Now the wheels are... Oh, this is beautiful racing between Azir and Jake. Tight racing. Azir now, third position for him.
Very, very nicely done from the Williams. And nicely done from Jake as well for both drivers, like you said, to keep that clean through there. It's a tricky bit of circuit to race through, but they've managed to keep it. And they haven't lost that all-important DRS on Merrin, so they get dragged back in towards Merrin and that racing point so that he doesn't get to run away with P2. It's certainly not over for him. 10 laps to go. So plenty of opportunity for the overtake. It's a matter of whether Azir or Jake can get that move done.
Well, Jake isn't going to be happy that Azir is so tight to the rear of this racing point. I think he might have a go into turn 1 here. Round the outside, now the Williams is looking, and it's going to be another wheel-to-wheel exchange for the Williams. Is he going to get it done the same way he did on Jake? It's still wheel-to-wheel, but this time he's through even earlier than what he had done on the Red Bull, and we'll call it a learning experience. This time he's getting it done quicker. Meanwhile, Darian Alfie has dispatched the AlphaTauri of Liam. He now has a 2-second gap that he's crushing to the car ahead in Rackety. When I say crushing, I think Rackety's had an issue. He lost a second. Surely that can't just be pace and tire wear.
There's no damage, at least visibly, on that Renault, and he is dropping really quickly, and these guys are on fresh softs compared to hard, so the pace difference will be there for sure. But yeah, really losing that gap. And Darian Alfie will be having a look down into turn 1, that's for sure. You can just see how quickly this Ferrari has caught Rackety here.
There's not much I think Rackety can do about Darian Alfie here, and if he's catching Rackety at this rate, we have 8 laps remaining in this race. This is going to be interesting, but we have a beautiful view of it now. Darian on the inside of the Renault into turn 1. He's going to get that lunge through. Rackety now looking for a look back on the inside. But Darian is through into 5th position. And I have to say, let's take a look at the gaps in this one. Scars holds on to that 1:10.890, the fastest lap in this campaign. As I say that, Neon comes through. There's some exchanging here. Swifty, Hurricane, wheel-to-wheel. Swifty around the outside right now. Aliens has the front row seat. Hurricane's lost out to that final points position. The Williams hunting down the Ferrari. He's got Jones there with them. What exchanging we're seeing, hunting down that final points position here, Unicorn.
Yeah, Jones did very well to worm his way out of that. He was looking up the inside of Aliens, and then Aliens looked for the move on Hurricane, but here goes the racing point, and he's stuck his nose where it doesn't belong, and that's going to be a spin for him, and I think Weltering's just caught the back of that. And Neon into Jones as well. Neon's race has gone from bad to worse here.
The yellow flag was up. The yellow flag was up, and I have to say, Neon, I don't know if he didn't see the yellows, but he drove straight into the car.
Well, his race has gone from bad to worse, and the home crowd will be bitterly disappointed with the driver who did sit on pole, now crawling his way through 15th with huge damage to that front wing.
That was a very, very unique exchange. As I always say, unique. Unlike the others. Jake, right now, he took a penalty while all of that was unfolding. You can see it 3 seconds for him in the Red Bull. He's not going to be thrilled about that on the rear of the racing point at all.
Yeah, that could really cost him compared to, you know, Merrin and Azir's just running away from these two, Striff. He has found some pace where these guys just don't seem to have got it in these closing stages. He's a little bit down on ERS compared to Jake, but not in a deficit compared to Merrin. And Merrin now is probably going to have to use some in this fight with the Red Bull. And Jake, don't think he's going to find it into turn 1 this time, but maybe turn 12, maybe turn 1 on lap 31. And we are in those closing few laps now, just 6 to go for the leaders.
This race yesterday, Alex Bitto and I commentated Tier 3 Division, and it was very, very intense. Right now we're seeing more intensity here in Tier 2 as Swifty and Hurricane continue to exchange. Hurricane, 15 lap old hards right now, looking for a move around the outside. Swifty and him doing the dance. Aliens in that Williams is still looking at him now. Hurricane tight to the rear of this Red Bull as we come down the hill, and this could be very, very interesting. He's going to drop off that Red Bull for now.
Yeah, some nice battling and around a track that really doesn't lend itself well to overtaking. We have seen some really intense battling from these guys for a few drivers. It really hasn't worked out for a few. It has put on an amazing spectacle for us watching. And here goes Jake. This is going to be the run he needs on Merrin. The speed, there wasn't much of room on the inside between that pit wall and his car. I think he actually scraped it, but no damage for the Red Bull. He just about finds the gap that Merrin left for him on that inside. And he's not going to be asking twice, and he picks up P3 for himself. But can he extend a 3-second gap?
Oh, Scars right now. Scars, I think Liam had some kind of issue. Scars just completely flew through into that 7th position. Swifty Hurricane continuing to do the dance right now.
Well, Liam's tyres as well. He pitted a bit earlier than Darian Alfie did, and they'll be feeling a little bit worse for wear as we come into these closing few laps. Swifties as well, 9 laps soft. That could cause a problem for him with Aliens behind. 2 very fast Williams at the tail end of this race. Azir up in P2. Aliens 10 places down in P12. But he could still pick up a point here for the Williams squad, and maybe even 2. Looking at Kai Buccini, who does have a penalty, or 2. It's 6 seconds for the young Brit in the Mercedes, and that could see Aliens up into 9th place at the end of this one, Striff.
This has been a cracking race, to say the least. Lap 32 right now. I'm watching Aliens hunt down Swifty. As you said, Swifty starting to get a few more lockups here. Scars, less than half a second to Rackety. Look at the run out of Aliens here, and he is going to clear that Red Bull into turn 1. Swifty doesn't look like he's got an answer for this just yet. Further up now, we're going to take a look at Scars hunting down your teammate in Rackety over at Renault, and we've had a yellow flag spark itself as Jones has retired. Well, where's he retired? He's on the track. He's on the track. Jones is on the track. XTXP, I don't think he saw him until he got really close, but that's a car across on the track in the, well, on the pit straight. Neon's coming down through now. That car has been removed. No safety car deployed. Well, I have to say, how do you end up all the way down there?
Especially retiring on your own. I don't think he was around anyone, so particularly challenging to
Azir and Henners are going at it. It's time, ladies and gentlemen, for the fight for the lead as Henners. Major defense coming out of the McLaren, and it's exposed Azir to a good chunk of time, and he's going to have to do it all over again.
Well, he's not got very long to do it, and now, like you said, got to catch up just a little bit. Henners, a little bit of an excess of ERS compared, but it's really not much at all. And now the two dancing around the same, but they're both pretty much empty. And well, this is going to work in Henners' advantage rather than Azir. If he can fend off one more really deep attack with ERS from Azir, Azir will now reel him in with DRS down this back straight. And depending on how close he gets, is going to determine whether he can get the run he needs down into turn 1. I don't think he's going to have it this lap. I think he's going to have to wait until at least next lap. You can see Henners 8 tenths ahead coming into the penultimate corner as they round the final one. Still 8 tenths between the Williams and the McLaren. Henners has used up a little bit more ERS than the Williams, but this is going to go down to the wire. Azir 17 lap old hards, Henners 21 laps. So the tyre compound definitely in favour of the Williams.
Well, Henners last week, he found himself in a podium. This week, he might find himself with a win. He has one obstacle in his way at the minute, and it's Azir and the Williams, and it's a battle between the McLarens and the Williams, and you love to see it, Unicorn.
Yeah, few people in the chat worried that Hennes' tyres aren't going to make it to the tail end of this race, and well, I assume that extends to Merrin as well in P4, but the stakes are higher for Hennes. This could be a race win. A nice 25 points from McLaren, the home driver. His teammate Neon couldn't get it, but can Hennes? It's going to be very, very tight, not only with Azir just barking up his gearbox, but also with those old hards just constantly being grained lap after lap. Hennes has got to put on something of a masterclass, not only in defense, but tire management in these closing laps as well. And it's going to be very tough. Azir now 5.5 tenths closer than he was last lap. And look at the run as he gets very close. He's completely out of ERS, but he is well and truly past the McLaren. Does Hennes have an answer for this? He's got 2 laps to find it. And it seems like it's pretty much game over for the British driver. But it's not over until the checkered flag is raised.
Well, a very, very good burst of speed coming out of Azir there. He prepped it, he ran it, and he took it. Mission accomplished into P1 for him. He's got one more goal here in this one, and that's to finish the job. He needs to get through into the win of this race. Hennes sticking well within a second behind him in the McLaren, but as you've said multiple times, the rubber might betray him at the end of this one. Jake, 4.7 seconds on the rear of him in third position. He's still got Josh Marin in his rearview mirrors less than a second with no penalties. So this is going to be a shakedown as we cross the line for third and fourth potentially. Darian Alfie is in fifth on softs. This has been a wild race.
I really wouldn't be surprised if we saw Marin up on that podium with what looks like at the moment Azir and Hennes, but again, it all depends on whether Hennes' tyres can make it. But Marin just needs to stay within 3 seconds of Jake's time penalty there so that he can get promoted into that final podium position. Not how you want to take the place, but if it comes down to it, no one's going to say no to it.
Less than a second the gap. Now we're on the final lap of this race. Azir in the Williams is leading things away from the McLaren, charging behind, and we're about to make our way down the hill. And Hennes is less than a second behind. Jake, 4.8, has Josh Marin charging behind him down the hill. This is the final lap of round 5, tier 2 action for the MRL Unicorn, and what a race it's been. Scars is looking for position on track from Rackety as well. Further down, Hurricane in 10th position. He's hunting down Kai Bacchini, and there's still battles unfolding all over this circuit as we make our way into Sector 3 with the Williams. Azir now, he is getting ready to take the win here for Tier 2 racing. The Williams team is going to be absolutely thrilled. Hennes is chasing. He's got the DRS on the rear wing, but it's not going to be enough as it is the Williams and McLaren 1-2 here. Azir, Hennes, and where are the rest going to land? Jake crosses third, but Marin will collect it on the penalties. Darian Alfie now to the line. The Ferrari who started this race at the back has just crossed into 5th position. Here comes Rackety now in the Renault. Scars behind him. What a dynamic race for the Alfa Romeo. Scars was on for a potential win. It just wasn't in the cards today. He'll collect 6th after his valiant effort. Liam will collect 7th. Rackety drops to 8th. Hurricane will finish 9th. And it will be Aliens rounding out the top 10 here in Tier 2.
Yeah, very, very nice driving from those guys on that podium. Super, super drives all around as well from a lot of these drivers. We saw a lot of positional changes on a track that really doesn't allow for it. Just one look when we see the end results here and we see where these guys started on the grid. Darren Alfie, like you said, he's up 14 places, but Jake as well up 9, Marin 5, Hennes 4. Azir, he gained 6 places during that race. So a lot of people took advantage of the misfortune of some of the other drivers here, and it's really paid off for the patient drivers here around Zandvoort.
Thrilling race. So thankful to everybody that has joined us for this one. Darian Alfie will collect the driver of the day, awarded by the game, of course, for I believe it's the most positions. But there he is, Azir on the podium, with Hennes next to him, and Josh Marin in the racing point here in a reserve capacity. I don't think anybody on this podium right now saw it coming, but we're going to have interviews in just a few moments' time, of course, and then we're going to raid a member of the F1 community, but I'm speechless. Tier 3, An amazing race. America's we're about to find out in just 45 minutes on YouTube. But this one, this has been a cracking race. Azir from 7th to 1st in the Williams. What a drive from him. He takes the win. Henners from 6th to 2nd. His second podium in as many attempts. And it's Josh Marin making his reserve debut at the Racing Point squad today. Well, it's a 3rd place finish, and it's a congratulations to him as well. Jake, 13th to 4th. Darian Alfie from 19th to 5th in the Ferrari. Scars losing out from 2nd position, dropping it to 6th in this one. 17th to 7th for Liam. Very nice drive from him. Rackety, 16th to 8th, so he cut his qualifying in half. Hurricane has unfortunately dropped back from 4th position to 9th after a good drive in this one. But of course, there was some action to take a look at post-race for stewards, I think, in that one. Then we have Aliens in the Williams. Another double points finish for them as Azir takes the win. And Aliens takes that final point from 12th to 10th. Kai, Swifty, Weltering, XTXP, Neon Mammal, Jones, Cotters, Crampy, and John all in this one. And it was Neon who started this race in pole position. He has removed that extra point out of the top 10 running with that 110.032. However, it just wasn't in the cards for the hometown driver today, Unicorn.
Yeah, very, very unfortunate. Just a lot of incidents for him, and he won't be best pleased with how it's gone. The Dutch crowd, again, disappointed with what has happened to both of their drivers in 2 races. But, you know, for those who are fans, you know, Williams Azir, he's going to be very happy with that. That really helps him out. You know, a strong showing last week at China now. That's going to see him really boosted in points, almost doubling his total for the championship. And it's going to see him skyrocket into around the top 3, I think, if not higher, because he has just been so consistent and just sort of a little bit quiet. But today he picks up that win. Henners as well, 2 podiums in a row for the British driver. And I think there's a lot of people that are going to be happy with that one. But we'll get interviews with them in just a moment. And
Oh my god! I can't believe it. I took that win away from me, but yeah, it was a good race.
Henry, what a dynamic race it was. One thing to ask you here, unfortunately my mic bugs whenever I come into these interviews, but what was happening with McLaren today? Just talk us through that race for you. It was very dynamic. Neon had pole position, but you landed on 2nd position. Just talk us through it.
I'm not really sure what happened to Neon actually. I didn't. He muted his mic, so I guess he may have raged a little bit. But then a couple of incidents in front of me, which happened in China last week. So I was very happy. Well, not happy, but yeah, I was just happy that I was able to get through without any damage. Normally it's me that gets the damage, but yeah.
Well, it was a very, very unique race. You'll watch it back, I'm sure, and see there was so much, I think Unicorn can agree with me here, drama, if I'm not mistaken, Unicorn, in this one.
yeah, there was a lot of stuff going on the track, and there was a lot of drama going on in the chat as well. Henners, people weren't sure whether your tyres were going to make it to the end. What was the tyre life like? What were the tyres feeling like in those closing few laps?
Honestly, I didn't check. I was scared to check because if I look at something, then I'm constantly on my mind. So I need to make sure I'm concentrating on the road, not the tyres or something. But they were getting very sketchy out the corners, so I had to keep it in high gears to stop the spinning.
Okay. Well,
so yeah, I didn't check.
the Netherlands, a very, very tough and demanding race, 36 laps around here. Congratulations, Henry. That's all we have time for the time, but you're giving yourself more opportunities to come up here and talk with these back-to-back podiums. So again, congratulations. The win was so close today. Who knows, maybe you'll go from third to second to first. Maybe we'll see it in Spain next week.
Hope so. Thank you.
Thank you. Joining us now, we do have him on the line. Josh, welcome. Congratulations on the P3. Coming in as a reserve today. How are you feeling?
Mix of everything, to be quite honest. I mean, obviously everyone in chat knows what happened. I won't speak about it, but very mixed. But overall, it was one of my best races, I think, in the game. I can't lie. I mean, from P9, I kind of couldn't have expected anything better, especially at podium, but I'm very happy.
How was it with that early safety car? What was it going through your mind when that strategy kind of came out and through a situation? We didn't see any drivers pit under that safety car. Was that something that you thought was, a make or break deal for you, staying out?
Yeah, it was a bit early to come in, to be honest. I think hards to the end would have not lasted. I was on, I think at the end, 70% on my front left, just from hitting lap 11. So lap 2 wouldn't have worked unless you did a 2-stop, because I think my teammate attempted to. Yeah, it would have been way too early to come in when that safety car came in. So, and I obviously reacted to everyone around me. No one went in, which is understandable. So.
How did it feel racing off the start of the race? And honestly, through it, we saw you, one of the drivers, with a tight interval throughout. There was always somebody either in front of you that you're looking to overtake, or vice versa, in Jake coming behind you, just really applying pressure through the race. What was that like for you?
The pressure never got to me. In all fairness, the last I think 10 or so laps with Jake and last 15 with Henners and Jake were obviously really hard. But sticking with Jake for those last 10 were quite difficult, trying to even stick with Jake, because I knew he had the 3 second. So even trying to keep up with him was difficult. But I think I matched his pace quite well, and he made a few mistakes, I think, on the last sort of 5 laps, and going into turn 1 hit that curb. Yeah, and the people behind also, they were a lot faster than me, so basically most of the time I let them pass if I knew I was at least going to get a podium from it. But yeah, if Jake hadn't had that penalty, then it would have been an easy podium for him. But yeah.
Well, congratulations again, Josh. Thank you very much for your time and taking the time to interview here, and hopefully we'll see you in another race soon.
Yeah, thank you.
Last but definitely not least, joining us, Azir. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly through the season, but congratulations on the race win. Williams taking that top spot. How you feeling?
Yeah, amazing. I have no words. It was an incredible race for me and for the team. Aliens get 1 point, P10, and well, amazing.
How crucial was that end of the race overtake on Henners there? How did it feel finally getting that move done on the McLaren?
I don't know how to say.
Well, it was an amazing race from you, I have to say.
Yeah.
The Williams squad, they came into this race prepared. You came in prepared, and you took a fantastic win today. Do you have any messages for the viewers, whether in English or, of course, your own language? We'd love to hear it.
Bueno, muchas gracias a todos los que me ven desde España, a mi familia, a mis amigos, a todos los compañeros de IRL. Y nada, esta victoria va para vosotros.
Thank you so much, Azir. Congratulations on the win, my friend, and we'll see you hopefully here once again soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Well, George, that wraps it up. Wow, what a race. What a race. That was Azir, ladies and gentlemen. We spoke with Josh Marin as well as Henners, the podium finishers for this one. We are going to be rating a member of the community in a short moment here on Twitch, but of course, in just 38 minutes time on the YouTube channel. We are going to be having the live premiere of yesterday evening's America's Race. The commentary, the broadcast has not yet been seen. So it's going to be a very, very interesting experience for everybody involved, I think, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So we'll hope to see you there. Thank you so much. George, do you have any closing statements before we go here?
Well, you've said most of it, Strip. That was just super trying, and it was also really shuffled up the driver's standings. I'm doing a little bit of maths here. And Azir's jumped a whole load of places. A few people high up didn't score, so it's kept the championship fight well and truly alive. I think this is the first week we haven't seen Hurricane on the podium, but awesome race. And like you said, you know, we get to see America's in just a few moments time, just over half an hour on the YouTube. So I'm not done with watching the Netherlands races, so I'm certainly going to be tuning into that one. But yeah, just super great action over the last couple of days.
Yeah, well, thank you everybody for tuning in. Of course, we're going to raid and we're going to play that outro. And before we go, massive shout out to our lovely partners, Next Level Racing. You can check them out via the link in the chat. They have an amazing lineup of racing rigs and seats. They are really looking to support and grow sim racing as a whole. So they're a fantastic group of guys over at Next Level Racing. So we hope you'll go and check them out. Thank you so much, guys. That's it for me. Stryfium here from Canada. Joining me was Unicorn from the UK. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place, 8 p.m. GMT, 3 p.m. Eastern for Tier 1 racing here around the Netherlands. And we still want to see that rain, so maybe we'll just get it tomorrow. Thanks, guys, and we'll see you on the YouTube in just a few minutes.